Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is going to be a GL readathon. I have selected the first volume of 6 GL series, and I'm filming this a lot later than I expected. It is currently a little after 10 p.m. It's 10:05, and I was meant to film this earlier in the day, but I am currently pretty much dressed for bed, so not really camera ready, which is why you can't see my face. But yes, I have picked out 6 series, and I'll be reading the first volumes. I have The Summer You Were There. Let me get that angle correctly. Let's move that a little bit closer. It's not showing correctly. Hopefully it is. The Summer You Were There. This Monster Wants to Eat Me. The Moon on a Rainy Night. Donuts Under a Crescent Moon. My Girlfriend's Not Here Today. And Run Away With Me, Girl. So it is pretty late and I have other things that I want to do tonight. I will try to read 2 volumes tonight. If I can, maybe 3. And if I do read 3, it will be these 3. The Summer You Were There, Run Away With Me, Girl, and My Girlfriend's Not Here Today. I'm going to start with this one. I'm pretty excited to read it because it was a direct recommendation and a personal favorite of the person that recommended it. Run Away With Me, Girl, I want to read this one because I really like the plot of the story and I'm just super excited to read it. This one I like because it has very controversial reviews and that seems like it will be pretty exciting to read. The other 3, I'm not super familiar with them. I partly picked them based on vibes, so I can read them in any order. And what I'm going to try to do is, as I read this, I will come back after I'm done reading the volume, talk through what it's about, and then give my first impressions as briefly as possible. And I would like to do it after I'm done reading the volumes. That way, the memory of it is still pretty fresh. And yeah, I think it would just be better to review it that way. I'm going to go over this video again, make sure that I actually showed the volumes correctly. If I didn't, I'm just going to put another insert of them before I start doing any reading. So I guess I'll see how much of it I'm able to get through tonight. So I'm done reading The Summer You Were There. I enjoyed it. So this story is set in a high school and it's about 2 girls, Shizuku and Kaori. So Shizuku seems like someone who has a little bit of social anxiety. She seems to be hiding something as well. And I think she has written about this thing that she's hiding, this terrible thing that she thinks she has done. She has written about it in a novel. And after writing it, she decides that she wants to get rid of the story. But somehow the other girl, Kaori, gets her hands on this novel and she reads it and thinks it's a really good novel. And she says as much to Shizuku. And Shizuku is surprised about that, but she doesn't know how to stop her from talking about it. Kaori starts asking her if she plans to write another book. Shizuku tells her she doesn't plan to write anything else because she doesn't have any ideas for another novel. And so Kaori suggests that they should date each other. That way she can write their love story, which feels like a little bit of a jump. And it just feels very random, but if you read in between the lines a little bit, you can kind of tell that there's more to the story. And at the end of the first volume, you get a little bit of a glimpse into what the story is probably going to focus on, which was nice. I definitely see this as something that I will keep reading. It's a pretty short series too. It has 6 volumes, and the final volume in English is going to come out in January 2025. I just looked this up. So there are 5 volumes out in print right now, and then the final one comes out in January of 2025. So yeah, I like that. So the next one I'm going to read is Run Away With Me, Girl. And that's probably all I'm going to read for today. I can already feel myself getting a little bit sleepy, so yeah, I'm gonna make myself a cup of tea, read this one, summarize it, and wrap things up for the night. Okay, I'm done reading it. This is another pretty short series. That's what I was just looking up. It has only 3 volumes, and I know I mentioned earlier that I really love the plot of this. I thought it was so well executed. I enjoyed it a lot. It follows the story of 2 girls, Midori and Maki, who went to high school together, and they used to date each other. Midori was Maki's first love, but when they were graduating from high school, Maki broke up with her and said something, or actually, Midori broke up with Maki and said, we're too old to be fooling around dating girls. So basically, she just saw their relationship as, I guess, some kind of pastime. 10 years later, they reconnect with each other, except that even though Maki is still in love with Midori, Midori is now engaged to someone, and she has a secret that she tells Maki about. But this story is so much more than that. Of course, it's about the romantic relationship between people of the same sex, but I think as a whole, there's just so much to unpack in the entire story, and I'm kind of shocked by how much the author was able to fit into this one volume. You see, I don't know how to talk about some of these things without giving away spoilers, but I'll just go ahead and talk about them anyways and put like a spoiler tag for this section. So Maki is engaged to be married because she is pregnant. She doesn't necessarily want to be with this person that she's getting married to, and the more Midori finds out about this person that Maki is getting married to, the worse he looks. He just seems like a red flag. They don't have the very best of relationships, and there's just so much going on in their relationship. Like the fact that Maki doesn't like being alone, and she almost just likes the idea of having someone. But you can tell that even though she's not alone, she is still very lonely as a person. And her fiance has his own trauma to unpack as well. Both of them just have a lot of trauma to unpack, and I wish they just dealt with that before getting into a relationship with each other. There's that side of the story, and then there's also the side of the story that Maki is probably still in love with Midori, but she's not even facing those feelings because I don't know if she has even accepted if she sees being with Midori, crap, I'm trying to mix up their names because they're both M's. If she sees being with Maki as a possibility at all, unlike how Maki sees herself with her, I don't know if any of that made sense, but overall, I just liked how densely packed this first volume felt. Like, there are lots of different little plots that you can take apart by themselves, but they also work together as a whole to make the story feel very complete and very well-rounded. So I love that about it. I don't know if I already mentioned, but this is only complete in 2 volumes. I really, really loved this, so I'm definitely going to pick up the other 2 volumes for the series since it's such a short one. So yeah, I don't feel as sleepy as I did before, but I'm still going to stop reading here for the night, see what else I can do before I go to bed, and then I'll pick this back up tomorrow. Bye. Alright, day 2. I am moving on to the 3rd series. My girlfriend's not here today. I think the title already pretty much tells you a lot about this series, so I will go ahead and get started reading that. Alright, that is My Girlfriend's Not Here Today. This one is an ongoing series. There are 5 volumes out in Japanese, and the 2nd volume in English just came out in September of 2024. The 3rd one comes out in January 2025, so not a whole lot to it just yet if someone wants to get into it. But going by the synopsis, I wasn't expecting the characters to be in high school. So this story is about this girl called Yuni. Asahina is the name that she goes by in the stories, but Asahina is dating one of her classmates called Taki, but their relationship is pretty much a secret because, well, they are both female, and Asahina has a vent account online where she talks about everything that's frustrating her, but she also talks about the fact that she is dating a girl, but it's a secret account, and another one of her classmates finds out about the fact that she is the owner of this secret account, so she now knows that Asahina is dating someone who is also a girl. And initially, she almost makes it seem like she appreciates the fact that Asahina can be very open and honest about her feelings for another girl because she's the same and she also likes girls. And it just looks like a wholesome relationship, but you can tell that she doesn't have very good intentions. It's slowly building up right now, but I think this is going to become a 𝕬𝕳𝕝 type of relationship, and Asahina is going to start cheating on her girlfriend, or at least that's what the synopsis says, because yeah, she starts to blackmail Asahina, and I think I've mixed up a couple of names here actually. Asahina is the girl with the vent account online. Her girlfriend is 𝕞𝕼𝕻𝕸𝕚. See 𝕞𝕼𝕻𝕸𝕚? I just read this and I already forgot everyone's names. That's crazy. Natsume. Her girlfriend's name is Natsume, and the girl that finds out that Asahina has a vent account online is Taki. Not like you care about any of that, but yeah, that's the plot of the series. I really enjoyed this, and I will actually pick up the next volume and see how that goes. I can definitely see this being a story that I want to keep up with. I'm not sure why it's controversial though. Maybe there's more that goes on in the volumes that are out in Japanese that dive into the controversial aspect of the series, but from just reading this first volume, I'm not really getting that vibe, so yeah. Okay, I don't know why, but I am so tired, so I'm actually just going to read one more volume today and call it a day. The other two I'm going to save to read either tomorrow or sometime during the week. I would have loved to read all 6 of them this weekend, but that's not really something that's super important, so I will just see how I feel and read those when I can. The last one I'm choosing to read today is The Moon on a Rainy Night. I believe this one also has a high school setting, so I will go ahead and get started with that. Alright, I'm done with The Moon on a Rainy Night. I actually think I did such a good job with picking up the titles that I selected for this readathon, because this is another one that I really enjoyed. One of the characters has a disability, she's hard of hearing, and her and the other main character just started middle school. I should probably use names so I can differentiate between them. So the girl who is hard of hearing is called Kanon, and the other main character is called Saki. Saki is learning how to play the piano, and her piano teacher recently got pregnant. I think she also got married, so she can't teach her anymore. And she introduced her to a new teacher. The reason I'm mentioning this is because the new teacher she introduced her to happened to be the mom of the other main character, Kanon. And they also end up going to the same high school. Not only did they go to the same high school, they're classmates and they sit right next to each other. Kanon lost her hearing when she was in the 5th grade. She wasn't born deaf, and that has just made things a little bit difficult for her, from adjusting to being someone who could hear just fine to slowly losing her hearing. And she probably also lost friends along the way because of that adjustment, but she also got bullied. You can see it in the way she is in the setting of the story. She is very guarded towards people, and she just comes off as very snobbish, but as you get to know her a little bit more as the story progresses, you can tell that that is just a way for her to protect herself from getting hurt when she tries to be friendly with other people, and they struggle with keeping up with her disability. And the other main character, Saki, is very slowly coming to terms with the fact that she likes women. It's not very clear, but if you pay attention to it, you can see that that's what's going on in her portion of the story. So there is quite a bit to unpack here, and I'm really enjoying it. I forgot to check how many volumes this story is. I think it's an ongoing one, because I'm pretty sure the person that I follow, the mutual I follow on Instagram that recommended this, picked up a volume quite recently. So it currently has 7 volumes in Japanese. It is still ongoing, so I was correct on that. The most recent volume in English was released in June 2024, and volume 6 comes out in December. So yes, this is an ongoing one, and I am enjoying it. I actually do see myself reading this one, and that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I think I'm going to get something to eat, try to do some other things, and if I have the time later in the day, I might read another volume, but otherwise it's going to have to wait for another day. So that's it for today. It unfortunately took 2 weeks, but I'm finally here to read the last 2 volumes that I have for my Manga Readathon. And the weird thing about this is the time is currently like 4:15 a.m. I haven't gone to bed, so I'm gonna read this too and then go to bed. But I have the first volume of This Monster Wants to Eat Me. I wish the light would stop doing that. And Donuts Under a Crescent Moon. So I'm gonna go ahead and read those 2. I'm trying to think about what order I want to read them in. I'll start with the one that looks a bit scary. It doesn't really look scary, it sounds scary, but yeah, I'll start with that one. Let's see. I'll just read out the synopsis. So Hinako, a high school student with a dark past, lives alone in a town by the sea. Haunted by a constant sensation of drowning, she can barely go through the motions of her tedious life, until the day a monster tries to eat her. After passing out in the struggle, she awakens to find she's been rescued by a beautiful mermaid. However, salvation comes at a cost. The mermaid's protection will last only until Hinako has matured into the perfect male. Hinako's first instinct isn't to run or scream, though an unlikely relationship between monster and prey unfolds. Oh, that's not what I was expecting, but that is what it's about. Let's get started. Okay, so I already read out the synopsis for this one, so there really isn't much to say about that. The story pretty much follows what the synopsis says, and the only thing that really stood out aside from what the synopsis says is that this main character doesn't seem to be really scared about the fact that this monster is going to devour her, because she seems to be, I don't know if suicidal is the word to use. It's more like ideation. She wants to be gone, but it doesn't seem like she's trying to take the action to do that by herself. So she welcomes the idea of death, but she's not taking any action towards it, which is an interesting premise. And this is a pretty long series. It is ongoing. It has 9 volumes out in Japanese so far. I think it only has 3 volumes out in English. I honestly don't really see myself buying more volumes of this. As interesting as the premise is, it's not really something I see myself reading. But I did look it up just now, and it recently got an anime announcement, so I'll probably watch that in favor of reading the manga. But if that sounds like something you'll be interested in, do check this one out. The art is really pretty, and the premise is actually pretty interesting. It's just not something I see myself reading, so yeah. And now the final volume, Donuts Under a Crescent Moon. I think this is like an office setting. I will read the synopsis for this one as well. Uno Hinako throws herself into makeup fashion and falling in love, hoping that will make her seem normal to the other people at her job. But no matter how hard she tries, she's a self-doubting mess inside, and her attempts at normal romance with men just keep failing. When she starts to think she might be alone forever, a new normal presents itself in the form of her relationship with Sato Asahi, a level-headed woman who works at her company. It starts as respect, and then it becomes far more intimate. So yeah, just office setting, except instead of a hetero relationship, you have a sapphic one. That sounds fun. These are always my favorite things to read. The art is so pretty as well. This was super cute, but also I'm trying to think of the word to use. Insightful, I guess, can be a good word to use. I knew I was going to enjoy it, and I really did enjoy it. So office setting, like I already mentioned, and one of the main characters, Hinako, is one of these like super put together pretty girls at work. She wears makeup, nice hair, nice clothes, everything. She just looks very put together, but on the inside she is a mess. And I mean that in the most endearing way possible, because there are so many things that she's struggling with that I can relate to. So she looks good on the surface, but on the inside she has gotten so used to just going along the grain or trying to fit in, pleasing other people. She doesn't really do much for herself. She's scared of being alone, so she goes on dates or just tries to do things that make her seem normal. Going on dates, trying to get married, having kids, and all of that stuff. The first chapter of the series, a guy grabbed her when she was on a date, and I think her response to that was that she felt gross, which is already pretty telling, especially since, you know, this is a Yuri manga. You know that she probably doesn't like men. The fact that she felt grossed out by that, but she keeps going on dates repeatedly because that's what's expected of her from society and her family as well. I feel like there was something else I was going to say. And she's just very insecure about how she is as a person, and there's also that fear of being alone. There's a lot of things that she's dealing with that I would like to see how the author plans to address them in the future, but I also like this new relationship that she has with someone who is pretty much the opposite of herself. Someone who's very capable at work, but she's kind of a loner, which she doesn't mind. She's obviously an introvert. She's okay with being by herself, and she has a very lovely relationship with her family. Her sister is introduced in this volume, and you can see the relationship they share with each other. They are also different from each other. Her sister looks like an introvert while her sister looks like an extrovert while she's an introvert, and their dynamic together is just really interesting to read about. And just in this one volume, there's so much I already enjoyed about this. This is a pretty short series. It's complete with 4 volumes, and I do see myself continuing to read this one, so I'm very likely going to pick up more volumes of it in the future. But that is the last manga series in this readathon, and I guess that's the end of the video. Would you like to, no, let's try that again. I hope you found the video helpful. Is there any one of this series that you'd be interested in trying after finding out a little bit more about this series? Let me know in the comments, and whatever day you find yourself watching this, make it a great one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.